you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
This year we're going to grab the bull by the balls and kick those punks off campus.
Well, looks like the cows have come home to roost.
Hello and welcome to the entertainment.ie movie show. I'm Dave O'Shaughnessy filling in for Mike Sheridan this week. Brian Lloyd's back with us.
Yeah.
I was in Boston. Cheers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wearing the hat. That's why the hat is there.
Yeah.
It's
To
not
show
the hat-
you legit travelled.
Yeah, exactly. This is proof that I was away and not here. And I found my quinoa latte. Quinoa lattes?
Quinoa, yeah.
Quinoa, yeah. I found my quinoa lattes.
That sounds disgusting.
It's not a thing. Like it's not a thing at all. I saw the 100 thing that we did last week. It was really, really cool. Charlotte Reed, who does the production behind the scenes. Just want to say, Charlotte, it's been an honour and a pleasure working with you. And
She's not going anywhere.
I know she's not going anywhere. I just want to say that the thing was really, really cool, and I wasn't here for it. And thank you for making me look like a raving psychopath. I'm very, very, very grateful for that. Thank you.
Okay.
We all are.
This week we're talking Daddy's Home 2, Battle of the Sexes, Suburbicon. Before all that, competition as brought to you by Odeon. Just tell us, what is the other film that Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell are in together?
Yes.
Not Daddy's Home 1, not Daddy's Home 2. The other
It's
one.
the one about the cops.
I've
Yeah.
basically given you half the answer.
Yeah,
in
you
the
actually
question.
have.
So
Other
you'll
film.
get it. Comment below. You win a Justice League goodie bag. Daddy's Home 2. D, what do you
Yes.
make of it?
This will be good.
No, you know what? In fairness, like it might have been part of the ambience because I actually went to the Irish premiere of it and all the guys were in attendance, which was really cool. Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell, John Lithgow.
I ate
and
in a
Mel
Wahlburgers
Gibson.
while I was over in Boston as well. I just want to say that as well.
Are you just going to pepper this entire show with
Just to
your holiday?
interject.
Yeah.
Do you have little
Just be
slides
like-
you want to bring up?
Do we?
No.
Really? Oh, okay.
D.
But you know what? Like I did find myself kind of laughing along with it. Like it's very slapstick heavy and like it's quite like bold and brash and stuff like that. And it's quite silly at times. But you know what? It's a bit of crack. Like I suppose the first Daddy's Home is a good indication of whether or not you'll like this movie because I found myself like pleasantly surprised by it. I did find myself laughing and stuff. If you're not into that kind of humor, you're not going to like this film. But I found it a bit of fun. It was better than I expected, which is good.
Yeah, like I came out of like the first Daddy's Home. I was like, I did not hate that. What is going on here? And, like, Sophia Coppola, I think she was doing an interview with, I want to say Vulture or maybe Empire. I can't remember. And like she specifically mentioned Daddy's Home as one of her favorite films of like 2015.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she was like, look, I don't know either, but I really thought this film was really funny, and I got to see it. Like she was able to watch it with her kids. And it was that kind of thing of like, it was just something really easy and dependable, and it's not terribly taxing, and it's over in 90 minutes. And yeah, and that's it. Like I was the exact same. I watched it, walked out the first one, was like, that was not terrible. Like I was like, that was fine.
Yeah.
That was grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
I
know
mean, the
Mark-
casting is great having like John Lithgow and Mel Gibson
I
there
was
as
just
the
going to
dads.
say, like, we
Yeah.
know that Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell have chemistry from their previous work together, but what do they add to the mix?
Yeah, I thought that they were really, really well cast. Like, I adore both those actors, and especially like John Lithgow. He just brings like, he's so like joyful in this movie and everything. And they're both like, you can just tell that the cast is having like the time of their lives making that film, and that kind of joy really translates, and you pick up on it, and you're kind of along for the ride and having fun with them. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of fun. I think that people will be pleasantly surprised. Like if you've no interest in seeing like this kind of a comedy, I don't think it's going to change your mind. But if you're just looking for a laugh,
Yeah,
it's good
and
for
if
that.
it was like winter this time of year, you just want to go to the cinema, sit in the dark.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to get out of the cold, like, yeah, there are worse ways to do it. I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, like
A resounding endorsement there from
I
Ryan
mean,
Lloyd.
it's not, but I mean, like, it's not trying, like, I know it's gonna seem like a bit of a cop out, but like, it's not trying to be anything other than what it is. It's just like a typical bland American comedy that like is over in 90 minutes, and you'll forget it when you walk out the door, but when you're in it, it's like, yeah, this is fun,
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah.
Perfect.
That's just it.
Perfect.
Well, Mike Sheridan caught up with the cast of Daddy's Home 2 previously, so here's a look at that.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to speak to you, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Just obviously opened in the US there last weekend, and it's done extremely well at the box office. Is it difficult to tell, or is it easy to tell when you're on set, when you figure out, look, this is working, this is going to play well to an audience, especially for a comedy?
Well, I think we've done enough movies now to where we are not in the business of trying to handicap how these things will do. But I mean, all you can do is when you're in the process of making the film and you walk away from it and finally see it put together. I think the only thing you can really have is just a good feeling about well, we put our best foot forward. And when we got to see it with an audience, there was kind of a general consensus like, wow, the audience loves this movie. I hope it continues to translate, for once it's released. So we had some indication, but you just never know.
That was Mike talking to the cast of Daddy's Home 2. We're going to talk about Battle of the Sexes now, which is one I'm much more excited about because I don't really care about Will Ferrell.
I thought you were going to say Mel Gibson. Like, we're not into that.
We're not opening that can of worms.
No, that's not.
Can of worms.
It's like a dark hole of worms.
Yeah. Dear God.
Anyway, Battle of the Sexes.
It was good.
Oh!
No, it was.
I was really excited for this. I was really looking forward to it.
It was enjoyable, but like, I'm not surprised that it looks like it's kind of being glossed over in terms of like awards and stuff, because it's not great.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, like, I love the work of, I think it's Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris, isn't it?
Yeah, they did Little Miss Sunshine, and they did The Way Back.
Yeah,
Remember
and
that was
Ruby
brilliant. I love
Sparks as
Yes,
well. I think
yeah.
is another one of theirs. And I adore Little Miss Sunshine. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's so funny, and it's like just this perfect little movie. But for me, this film, I don't know, it didn't quite have that kind of great balance between comedy and pathos that I think Little Miss Sunshine achieved. And I wasn't mad about Steve Carell's character in it.
But aren't you supposed to, like, he's meant to be an asshole?
No, but see,
Like, I know it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but like, come on. Like,
No,
assholes are
but
great.
I mean, like, the way so in the trailer, he looks great and he's funny, and like, he's kind of a male chauvinist pig, and you know it.
Yeah.
And there's something kind of funny about that. But the way they portray him in the movie, first of all, you kind of see his backstory, and you see him struggling with his marriage and struggling with his gambling addiction, and then you see him do all the like chauvinism stuff, and you're like, well, it's all just an act. So you kind of lose the comedy there, because it just makes him look kind of like
Tragic.
sad or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was disappointing. But one thing I will say is that Emma Stone is incredible in this.
Okay, because
like,
I feel like
yeah.
they've been pushing her as like
Best
Oscar
actress.
contender
Yeah.
for this movie, particularly even though they made it like pre-Trump and they thought
Yeah.
they were going to release it into a Hillary Clinton presidency,
Yeah.
and it's changed its tone completely, and
Yeah.
now it's very much about. Well, it's always going to be about female empowerment, but now there's an extra layer to
Yeah.
it.
Layer to it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's amazing in this, and she plays Billie Jean King to a T. And her story is far more interesting, and it cuts between her and him. And whenever it goes to him, just in terms of like the tone and the pacing and stuff, it just gets a bit duller. Whereas I wish that they kind of just focused on Billie Jean King. And I was talking to other people about it and looking it up afterwards. And actually, she had such an interesting life even before this particular event and the aftermath of it, that it might have been a great movie to just focus on
Billie
that
Jean King.
character.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame, but I mean, it's still an enjoyable film, and it is like nice and feel good and inspiring and stuff. I just thought, I don't know, maybe there was a better film there
That they didn't make.
Yeah.
What about the supporting cast? Because I know that it's Sarah Silverman and Andrea Riseborough,
Yeah.
and they've been great
Yeah.
things been said about them as
Yeah,
well.
they're all great, and Sarah Silverman especially is like so like fiery and badass. She's like the friend of Billie Jean King and this editor of this magazine or something. She's fabulous in it. She's not in it enough. Everyone in this film, it's so funny. All the supporting cast are all kind of very nice, and even Bobby Riggs, you see that he's actually secretly quite nice. The only character is and I keep forgetting his character's name, but Bill Pullman plays a total, I'm allowed to say this, asshole in
I said
this.
asshole earlier.
And he's such a, and I know people like him, I've met them over my life, who are just like subtly sexist, and they say these little things just to get little jabs at women. And he really grinded my gears in this movie, because I'm like, I know people like you.
Yeah.
So he was great in it in that regard, but I was a little angry at him after the movie.
Okay, so who's this film for, and why should they go see it? Should they go see it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that, everyone will go to it and get something out of it and enjoy it, just all audiences. I don't know, maybe I'm being like a little kind of critical. I think especially because I came off like seeing Steve Carell in Foxcatcher for me was just such an eye-opener, because it's like he is he's capable of so much as an actor. I'd love to see him take on these bigger roles. Did you
I thought he was brilliant, Foxcatcher. I think he was so overlooked in that film in terms of like recognition, that kind of thing. But I think, like, and from what I haven't seen Battle of the Sexes, but what I think you're getting at, or at least what I kind of get the feel is that like I was really hopeful for this film. I thought like, I can't wait for this, and maybe it's just a case of like didn't meet expectations. Is that it? Is that clear?
I think more so that, yeah. I mean, it's still an enjoyable film. I still liked it, you know. I just thought that maybe there was an
More to it.
excellent film there, that they didn't quite get to.
Okay. Suburbicon.
Yeah.
Matt Damon and
Julianne Moore
and
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
no and
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Let's unpack this.
so no, give us a brief synopsis. What's it even about? Because I keep thinking it's the one where they're shrunk it down, but that's not out yet.
No, Downsizing. That's that one. Which
That's
I'm
a
looking
different Matt Damon one.
Yeah.
And that one I'm looking forward
Same.
to.
That's why I thought it was
Yeah.
this, but it's not.
This one, right? Okay, so essentially, what it is about is Matt Damon plays a middle American guy in the '60s. His wife is murdered, and her identical twin, also played by Julianne Moore, arrives at their house, and then the child starts to witness sort of weird things going on. All while this is happening, and I'm literally giving you the first kind of like 5 minutes of it. All while this is happening, right? And this is what makes this film such a mess of a film. Their next door neighbours are the first black family to move into a predominantly white neighbourhood, and they are just getting just awful racial abuse. And like the way that the film is structured, right? I mean, it's almost like one half of the film is your bog standard Coen Brothers film, insofar as it's, you know, nebbish, white collar guy, gets into trouble with money, thinks up a completely harebrained scheme to make more money, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, literally right next door is this really dark social drama, kind of like Catherine Bigelow's Detroit. And like the two are just so completely at odds with each other. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to think, well, you know, this kind of thing happened in '60s America, and these things were done. But like, the problem that I had with this film was that like, in trying to get two completely disparate ideas and stories together, you don't do either of them any good. You know, kind of one is not serviced by the other, and one doesn't. It just doesn't work. Like, and you know, like there were like Coen Brothers wrote one part of the script, and then Grant Heslov and George Clooney wrote another part of the script. So right there, that tells you that there's like 4 screenwriters on this, and you're watching this, and it's like 1 minute it's like really zany, kooky, weird Coen Brothers. It's like that whole scene with Oscar Isaac. That's just pure Coens.
Yeah.
And then literally the next scene is like, you know, basically the KKK are standing outside the door trying to break into the people's house. And you're like, wow, this is really dark. And then it's, oh, this is really funny. Now, again, that's the kind of thing with Coens, is that they can kind of balance two together. But it's a recurrent, it's been a recurrent theme. Like, I think the Coen Brothers have had four scripts that have been turned into, that have been directed by other people. Only one of them has worked, and that was Bridge of Spies. And I think that worked because I had Steven Spielberg directing it. I think if that was anybody else directing it, wouldn't have worked. Like, there was Gambit.
Gambit was awful.
Terrible. Terrible film. There was Unbroken, which was just boring. Like, that was just a boring film. God bless it. Like, and then you had this, which is just a mess. And then you also have the fact that like Grant Heslov and George Clooney had to stick their oar in the script, and it just becomes a mess. And like, it's also telling as well that I think it was Josh Brolin was in this film, and then cut out of it.
Cut out?
Yeah.
So he didn't drop out, he was cut out.
He was cut out, like in the editing of it. And that's when you're watching this one. I don't know about you, but I felt that this was like, they basically got this into the editing suite, and they were like, oh my God, we don't have a film. Just take this and take that and take this and take that and take this and take that and take this and take that. And then just there, stick it out and just hope it works. And like, it's bombed in the US, probably because it is very on the nose. Like, it's really on the nose in terms of like, you know, the whole idea that like Americans are not what they say they are, and that they're kind of like put on this facade of being, oh, we're golly gee, we're just great American people, and then they're like literally racists right next door, and that's very on the nose. And of course, like with everything that's going on in the US right now, I mean, it's just nobody wants to see that. And I wouldn't imagine it would do terribly well here either, because as I was watching it, there were so many things I was like, this is a really sort of, I guess you could say, like culturally incisive film, insofar as is like us as Irish people watching this was like, none of this has any kind of resonance with us. This is just like a really weird film. It doesn't really kind of connect in any kind of way. So Long story short, just don't go see it. It's a bad film. Like, it's just a bad film.
I was going to ask you what
Yeah.
you made of the cast performances in it, seeing as
Yeah.
it's apparently it's a terrible
Oh,
film,
it's
but
just-
are the
yeah.
performances
It's-
and any
I mean,
redeeming? or-
everyone's like good in it. You know,
Yeah.
they're totally going all for it. I mean, like I didn't dislike it as much as Brian, but it was definitely flawed. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing I really liked about it was the finale, and that was when they go full Coen Brothers. Like,
Yeah.
it's so like bizarre and bonkers and like violent, but also hilariously so.
Yeah.
Like that's when it works, is when it sticks to Coen Brothers. Like, I know. Like, in a way, you're kind of disappointed because you feel like Clooney is like
Trying his hardest.
trying so hard
Yeah.
to like stay loyal to the Coen Brothers tone, and you're kind of like, well, I mean, you should also kind of put in like yourself in there. But yeah, like Brian said, maybe he felt that he did that with kind of the script when he added in that whole like side story about the black family. But yeah, I would kind of agree in that. The only point that I saw in it was that, you know, for all like America acting, for all like, you know, most Americans acting like, you know, they're so great, there's like this real horror story like happening next door to this other horror story. But
Yeah.
I thought that, like, I don't know, like, it didn't seem like that kind of great a point to make
Yeah.
or something, you know. So
Yeah.
I kind of agreed that I didn't get it. Like, for real Coen Brothers fans, like, maybe it'll be
Yeah,
worth it, because
okay.
it is kind of nice to see the Coen Brothers tone back, because I would agree in that any recent ones that we've seen that are written by them and not directed by
someone
them,
else.
yeah, you don't get the Coen Brothers tone in there
Yeah.
at all, really. But yeah, I mean, it does feel like a movie that's a bit out of its time or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you were to go see any movie this weekend, what would you go see? Doesn't have to be the three we talked about.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
I don't know. Would you recommend it?
I'm trying to remember what else is out at the moment. No, I think that I would recommend Battle of the Sexes. Probably.
Okay.
I think people would. I think most people will really like that. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh.
I still have to see Justice League.
Oh, really?
So-
Yeah.
Why would you?
I think just for the crack.
Yeah.
Just for the
Okay.
crack. I just want to go see it just for the crack.
I just find it mad that it had like a $280 million opening, and that's a disappointment.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like, these movies make ridiculous amounts of money.
They do.
It's
but like,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like they're talking like that this has to make, and I know we're going way off point here, but it doesn't need to make something like 800, 900 million in order for it to break even. Like, it's
Oh, okay, well, there.
Okay, well that's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah.
That's it for this week. If you want to get that Justice League goodie bag, answer the question in the comments below. Next week we are talking.
The Man Who Invented Christmas.
The Man Who Invented Christmas and
Wonder.
I knew it was The Man Who Invented Christmas because I remember thinking, is he Jesus? Jesus invented Christmas. That's really like, what is that like? What is it? It was filmed in Dublin though.
Okay.
Yeah, it
well,
was filmed in Dublin. Yeah. And that guy, that Irish actor that was in Game of Thrones that works in the lighthouse. Well, he does. Like, I see him in there sometimes. He used to work in the
Allegedly,
lighthouse.
just in case.
He used to work in the lighthouse. He used to work in the lighthouse. I forget his name now. God, he follows us on Twitter. He knows. He's watching this probably.
Oh, great. Well, anyway, he can tune in next week, and Mike will be back, so we'll see you then.